city of Chicago is facing a nearly $1 billion budget deficit for fiscal year 2025. And the mayor says everything is on the table to fill that hole, like raising property taxes, a hiring freeze, and cuts to city services. Ninth Ward Alderman Anthony Beal joins me now. Alderman, thanks for tuning in this morning, checking in with us.
Well, thanks for having me. Good morning.
Good morning to you. How did we get to this point?
Well, we knew that this cliff was coming years ago. We knew we had a pension deficit that was coming, and we knew that coming out of the pandemic, things were still slow. Coming out of the pandemic, downtown is still recovering, and so we've been looking at all these different things going on that really caused this hole. But we didn't do anything to prepare for it. We spent all the COVID money creating programs and creating additional jobs, and now that COVID money is running out. That's adding, more deficit to our revenue on a day-to-day basis. So we didn't do anything last year to raise property tax fees or fines or anything, and we just kind of punted last year, and that also added to this hole. And so it was a compound of really bad judgments that really got us here.
So the first thing they want to do is raise property taxes to make up for the bad financial decisions they made with the budget. I mean, do you think that's fair to the average Chicago resident that is probably already struggling to pay the mortgage? So they have to pay for the bad decisions the administration made with the budget? I don't think so. Just let me know in the comments what you think.
Sounds like you're almost blaming yourself for this. Was it you? Was it the mayor's office? Who's to blame?
Well, it wasn't me because I voted against every budget the last 5 years. And so it was definitely the guidance of the administration that really pushes the agenda as far as our budgets are concerned. And so when you look at our budgets, it's the mayor's responsibilities to present us with budgets. And, I've been fighting tooth and nail about all these bad decisions that have been made. And it's just right now, it's not enough of us in the city council to, really right the wrongs that are going on. When you look at the fact that we spent $814,000 on a wrought iron fence during the pandemic,
Wait, what? Wait, did he just say they spent almost $1 million in a wrought iron fence? Oh, okay. Wow.
we have a deficit. Why would you do something like that? Why would we spend over $600 million on migrants when we have a deficit like this?
Wow. So there it is. So they spent $600 million on migrants. That's over half of the entire budget of $1 billion that they get for the city of Chicago, spent to fund the migrant crisis that was created by the Biden-Harris administration. And notice he said they knew they had the deficit coming, and they still chose to spend over half of the budget, $600 million, to fund this migrant crisis. Wow.
Why didn't we have a hiring freeze or start furlough days back in March and April if you knew we had a deficit like this coming? And so there was no preparation. So it's just bad decisions going forward.
Thank you for clarifying that in your position on those issues. Okay, so we're in this problem. We got to do something. What would you do to plug the hole?
Well, we should have had massive a hiring freeze outside of police and fire. And I'm glad that the administration saw the error of their ways and reversed course on police and fire on the hiring freeze. We should have had a hiring freeze back in March and April. We should have been looking at possible furlough days like we did years ago to help plug this gap. But none of those things were done. We just kept spending. And now we have a hole, and we want to blame CPS on the $223 million hole that we have this year for not paying their pension payment. However, if we had not spent $600 million on the migrants, we wouldn't have a deficit this year going forward. And so
exactly. So basically, now that they are in the hole, they want to blame CPS because they didn't make a $223 million payment to the pension. Like, are you serious? So you spend almost $1 million in a wrought iron fence to keep homeless people out of Chicago, right? Which I bet some of those homeless people were at some point Chicago residents and they pay taxes, the same taxes they use to fund the migrant crisis in Chicago. And then on top of that, they choose to spend another $600 million to fund the migrant crisis to house and feed illegal migrants. Man, you can make this shit up.
We have created this disaster that we're in, and now we want to point fingers and blame everybody else for the bad decisions that this administration has been making.
Okay, I want to ask you about something you just mentioned there. You called the fact not to include police and fire in the hiring freeze a reversal of a decision from the Johnson administration. They're saying it wasn't a reversal, that was the plan all along. Did they get pushback and then they decided, oh, maybe we shouldn't include them in the hiring freeze?
Yeah, absolutely. All the documentation that we got, everything that went out, and it was a total hiring freeze across the entire city, including first responders. And so there was a lot of pushback, a lot of aldermen. The FOP was pushing back. The firefighters union was pushing back. Aldermen were pushing back, saying that, we're already 2,000 officers short. Now you're going to freeze, hiring. You're going to not pay overtime. And we still are dealing with carjackings and smash and grabs and murders and all kind of CTA issues. And
So they wanted to freeze hiring. They didn't want to pay overtime to law enforcement to deal with the same migrant crisis they funded, which gave them the deficit. Wow.
now you want to cut back. That was just a bad decision. And I'm glad they reversed course, but it was definitely a reversal.
Interesting.
Basically, they are willing to spend an insane amount of money, over half their budget, to fund the migrant crisis, which is weighing down the economy, by the way, instead of focusing on helping the homeless crisis in Chicago. I mean, I just think they should help out American citizens first, but maybe I'm wrong. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Please like the video, share, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so, and have a blessed and exclusive day. Peace.